use your phone. Just clip a picture of this content. So what are we talking tonight? Because when the camera moves away, you can follow 15 minutes, part 1, 15 minutes, part 2. Okay, we got cracking on it now because this is another big topic. Next picture, please. Thank you. Okay, this is the University of Sichuan, and I'm on the right-hand side, the second column down. You can see the highlight. You can see my ugly face there. Okay, now these are all university professors, and I'm on a grade 2 national grade on research on this self-healing phenomenon we call internal Taoist medicine, and these are the whole team. Now they're here, and myself is on the right-hand corner. You can see myself. And the person speaking there, that was my supervisor 17 years ago, Professor Jensen. He's one of the top 15 in Taoism study in mainland China. So every year we have invited a lot of all the teachers all over the world, right? To come into, so we can actually try to put all the ancient records straight, because it has been misinterpreted, for quite a long time. Now, I'm using this character now. So the topic is the Endeavour of Chinese martial arts, or called Wu Dao. So what do you mean? Actually, because all martial arts wise, now tonight is martial, so there's it's in one of the highest level of human exercises, shall we say? Okay, yeah. So on one side, through exercises of the mind, training of the mind, training of the body, right, we can actually regulate, our health status of the human body and mind. Okay, so we call it methodology, Gong Fa. Okay. On the other hand, right, through the same exercises, we can create some kind of self-defense movements, right? Like the ladies, right, or small-framed male, we don't have the bulk of muscle, but when somebody try to attack you or try to hurt you, would you like to know some skill to look after yourself or look after your family, when it's needed? So that's why the internal training have these very typical character, right? And when the time you learn the movement properly, and these kind of benefits, right, already you have learned it. So you just need to know how to use them. So that's the endeavors of Chinese martial arts. Why I call Chinese martial art? Because all different races on this planet know martial arts. We're all warriors, right? So all different races have their own martial arts. Now, for example, like the Roman, right? When the Roman Empire at that time, the Roman soldiers, they're very, very good martial artists, very good martial art fighters. And like the Celtics, okay? Yeah, and also like the Indians are very, very ancient, Egyptians and the African, in the African warriors, Zulus. So we are talking about fighting of survivals, all different races. We all have it. But like I said, I don't read other people's languages, and I don't, I don't study it, so I'm not qualified on talking about the martial arts side. But from the Chinese side, I've been practicing all my life. I started learning from when I was 10 years old, and one more year, I'll be 70. So I've had 60 years of some experience, so I'm sharing with you. So why we call it the Wu Dao? So actually, the Chinese martial art has completely different, some very unusual teachings, not just talking to fight. So if you look at the etymology, look at this character. This Chinese character actually comes from two parts. I put a palm in it, like this, right? So from the Chinese character, it's like a palm, right? Like this, okay, yeah? So that means stop. It actually tells you stop, okay? Now, the right-hand side, with the stroke coming down, Yep, the right, that's it. It's right hand side. Actually, it's a weapon. Now, this weapon is called halberds. Now, in Europe, you have halberd as well, but usually this happened if you study it in the weaponry, and it is usually used on horseback, and is a long range weapons. So obviously, on one end, you can peer people and you can pull it back, right? So the horizontal bit actually also is a blade. So the ancient Chinese were using that to represent warriors, right, or fightings or martial. Okay, why is it different? Because Chinese martial arts also have philosophy. It's actually to tell you that stop fighting. We actually learn stop fighting instead of just fight. We stop fighting. So it's yin and yang principle, the teaching cover that. So what happened was it's a philosophy. It's a philosophy. So that's why the fighting, right? The best strategies of fighting is not to fight. Talk it out. Because fighting is the last bit, right? It's a brutal, senseless, right? Senseless way of organizing, or shall we settle an agreement. So that means, we're looking at, the philosophy of if we can avoid any, shall we say, aggressions, instead that we can sit down and talk together and try to settle the differences. Yeah, so that's why then also you can look at it in a lot of the time, that even today, when you talk about martial arts, the misinterpretation of martial arts has been like, yeah, I'm the champ. I am the champ. I am the champ. So if I give you an example, what do you think? If a guy goes into a tournament, right, go into cages to fight for championship. Now, if one of these fighters coming out of the cages 10 times and he win, I said, win 10 times, would you say he's a very good fighter? 10 times out of 10 times he win. Of course he's a good fighter. Brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. But physically, he is a good fighter. But from the Chinese side, right? Yeah, we look at it. Yeah, you're okay on that, but you're not the best fighter. You're very good on the, really physical confrontation. No doubt. But you're not the best fighters. Why? See, now that's why even from that point of view, philosophy side, we set in. Okay, yeah. Why is he not the best fighter? So who's the best fighter? Do you know who? The guy behind him. Who? You would say who? The manager. The manager. Why? I'll say he's the best fighter. So how you look at it? The guy go in there, right? Slaving himself, right? Getting all the pain, blood, sweat, and tears, really trying to get up there, not only for fame, a lot of money, because all these are professional gambling thing. You're going in to make a living, big money, which is fair enough, no problem. People would have their way of making a living. But the thing is, he go in there, sweat himself, killing himself, right? Get injured and all kind of stuff. Yeah. For money. Yeah. And the guy who stands behind him, he earned more money than him. He's a manager. So the manager was counting all the money. Yeah, good. Wow, you're number one. Wow, come on, man. You are good. You are very good. Yeah, go on. Yeah, good. I'll make sure that, you got your share. And the guy took the big share. And the guy win, not even have to lift his only little fingers. Now, that's the best fighter, because he's using his brain. That's your mind. So the mind is more superior than the body. So that means in the Chinese side, we can control our mind, our way of thinking in a proper way to handle situation. Why bother? Why bother using the brutal force? So this is why it is quite an unusual way to look at the Chinese side of martial arts, because there's a lot of teaching about it. Okay. Now, what I was talking about, so when we were talking about Chinese martial art, you also have philosophy side. Okay, so how are we going to look into that. The philosophy, the martial side, because that is the best weapon. So that's why we can connect it into, as a warrior, as a fighter, right? Yeah. So we're looking at through philosophy is behavior as a character, which obviously we try to survive in the jungles, or, the jungles of humans. Okay, because we live together. We animals. We are mammals, animals. We live in a wild jungles. We have to live together. So when we live together all the time, we have a lot of confrontations because we emotions. So from the human species and an animal species, we are the top range of emotional animal. So the emotion comes into consciousness and subconsciousness. Okay, so that's why we are living in a conscious world. But when look at the animal also got emotion, but not as complicated as ourselves. And we were animals. So when we evolve, so our mind shift from subconscious level into conscious level, and we are more aware of everything. So in the Taoist term, we are more aware of heaven, earth, and human energy. And this energy is biological. What it means is emotion. Emotion is a biological, because the way we think. So a lot of time that we're all different. Okay. So the teaching coming in, can we try to sit down together and try to, shall we say, survival, just like now today on this planet. Okay. Now we lack of that kind of teaching, and that's why wars everywhere. Now we're going to kill ourselves. Yes. So these are very important, right? Very, very important teaching. So from the we call it morality side, and then in Chinese side, because these, of course, the China have thousand years of turmoils. We have so many different dynasties, right? From record is 5,000 years of record. The 5,000 years we fought 5,000 years. We could have killed each other in 5,000 years. So in China, because we have 56 different tribes, right? Different tribes, 56 different tribes of their own languages and the culture. And we also, in that piece of land, we call China. Okay. We call China. Okay. So that's why there has been a lot of wars, every changing of the dynasty, there were war. So out of this turmoil, right, at least we have a lot of philosopher coming out, and a lot of people is sick and tired of fighting. They're sick and tired. Can we live together? Can we live peacefully together? Because at the end of the day, we only live on this one planet. We haven't got a technology to go to the moon, let alone other blinking planets yet. So these are very, very important missing link, right? So that's why even on the martial side, okay, yeah, confrontation side, we have to use, if the confrontation is the yang side, so the Chinese, we have the yin side, which is mean that, okay, let's try to live together. So for 5,000 years, the Chinese side, the Chinese teachers have put out like a routine, shall we say, or disciplines, right? The discipline, the routine, very, very important that, we call, on the how I use filial piety. That means respect the elderly. Why do you have to respect the elderly? Because without our father and mother, we don't have us. And also because, when we all make mistakes, so our ancestors, we all make mistakes, but when we make mistakes, we change. We were willing to learn and change. So we improve. And through all kind of trial and error, and make mistake all the time, right? We become matured, right? And that become knowledge. So knowledge is accumulation of experiences, okay? So that's why we respect not just the mother and father, it's the elderly, senior, right? But obviously we don't see it in this modern society now. That's gone. Sad, very sad. And then we talk about the brotherhood or sisterhood. That means the family. And again, it's sad. 1 in 3 families, all right, is broken up. And it's really, really, really sad. So, and then we have the loyalty. So, and then we have the loyalty, right? We have to be loyal well, unfortunately, I don't see it on the on today's people living together. So also trustworthy. Very difficult to find somebody you can trust. Okay, right? Mannerism, right? Mannerism. My God, this is complete out of the window, is it? Mannerism. Okay, and also righteous, right? So the righteousness of it, I think people misinterpret it a lot. Okay, and then the be contained. You have to be contained, and you have to satisfy with what you have, because that means the greed. If you're not contained, you're greedy, and then more greed and greed and greed, and give you a very, very bad character. Okay, and that shamefulness, be shamefulness, because pride is a good thing. Okay, we all want to, yeah, I'm right, you're wrong. Always finger pointing. So that's why even it was wrong, but you keep on, right? The standpoint, yeah, I'm not wrong, you're wrong. If you can be accepting that your own mistake, right? Shameful, be ashamed of yourself because you have made a mistake. So if you're willing to accept that, right? That's I always said, if we find the problem first, if you don't even know the source of the problem, how are you going to look for the answer? So even if you look for the answer, you have to accept that answer and learn again. And then after you learn it, you have to put it into practices. So this is all relating to the internal, the Night Taoist medicine. So these are the morality even in the Chinese martial arts science, right? So this is why it's so important that we use the mind to learn the discipline of morality. Okay, these experiences, right, accumulate and through thousands of years, right, of our forefathers, shall we say? Okay, and then it gradually people write it down and become our teachings. So this is how we relating to training of your mind.